we've got another awesome episode for you today, folks. This is, to this date, maybe one of my favorite interviews that I've done. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the biggest reason is that this guy has been in my life since I was a baby. Before that, actually, he's been around a long time. He's a family friend, and he has one of the most interesting life stories I've ever heard. And I think a lot of times that molds a person and gives a person kind of a sense of purpose and this drivenness. And he's certainly an example of that. I mean, you guys will get to experience that as you listen through this episode. We talk about a lot of things in this one as well. We get into some business talk, just overcoming life obstacles. I even get to share a story with him that I have about him that I've never told him. I've never got to share this with him, and I get a little emotional during that. So be ready for that. But it's a special one. This is a really special episode, and he's a special person. And I know that you guys are going to get a lot out of the episode. There's a lot of really important things. In fact, I think I'll probably go back and re-listen to this one myself. But he's been a mentor for me in my life. He's been a friend. He's been a support. He's been some comedic relief at times, and he's got an interesting story to tell. So I'm super excited for this one. Please enjoy this. Share it. That's another thing I should probably be saying on all these episodes is if you like it, share it and whatnot. But this is one you're going to enjoy for sure. This is today's guest is Mr. Michael Bear.
Maybe, years ago or something, I would really have a little bit more feeling about what I talk about. But honestly, like, it's open book. So whatever you want to conversate about or ask.
Well, she just kind of said, I guess because you're a businessman now, that you got to kind of respect that, and not.
I am a I am a business guy, but also like the transparency of being a businessman and talking about things is something that I think that I value and people value just in general, honestly,
I think so too.
Yeah.
Is that something that you always felt, or is that taken like some time? I mean, you mentioned that maybe years ago it'd be different. Is that like a confidence thing?
I don't know if it's necessarily confidence. I think it's more so the fact that, everybody is so limited and scared about protecting an image that they create. And don't get me wrong, like, you always want to be respected. You always want to be valued. You want to be trusted. But also, like, people are just so worried about what everybody else thinks of them.
Yeah. Especially when you're running a business too, because then they start to think, well, what if they don't agree with me, or what, then. But I don't. Do you think it even matters? Like, I don't agree with every company I'm a part. Like, I have an iPhone and they do horrific shit. Mm-hmm. Like, Apple's a terrible company, but I have an iPhone, so it's like at the end of the day, I don't think people really care.
I think they got opinions. But when it comes down to it, they're going to go for what they go for.
Right.
And for me, I'll be honest with you, like in business and just in my personal life too, like there's certain clients that I don't want. Just like there's certain clients that don't want me. Yeah. And really, the thing of it is I say this, and like if I'm transparent about who I am and kind of the way that I operate, it allows me to attract the right kind of client,
sure.
And vice versa. I mean, because there's a lot of people that, I don't mesh well with, and that's okay because there is somebody that will mesh with them.
Right.
And, that's just kind of my philosophy now.
Yeah, I had my buddy Michael that I used to do the old podcast with. I had him in here for a while, and he's a real estate agent, and he has recently taken sort of a personal approach to like taking over his image, kind of like you're talking about. Like he kind of felt like, at least in the industry, he was a little worried to speak his mind or put his feelings out there because he's losing money for his daughter and his family. But then, he's been like voicing a lot of his opinions, mostly political stuff on Facebook and stuff. And he talked a lot in here about how freeing that was for him to just kind of be himself, But real estate's a little different because, I mean, that's like a solely commission job, whereas you're kind of like, it's a little different with you, I guess.
Well, I mean, it is. I guess, the reputation is what matters. In my line of work, I mean, I deal with a lot of people, but I feel like that I'm in a place in my life and my company to where I'm solid about who I am.
Sure.
You know, and I've realized you're going to get criticized for everything, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like good, bad. I can be the best person in the world, and there's always somebody going to speak up and be like, well, he did this or he did that or blah, 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 or some kind of bullshit. And I mean, the reality of it is like somebody's always going to have something to say.
Always, yeah.
And, you know, in my line of work, you know, it doesn't really, it is very much dependent on my integrity. And that's one thing I do follow through with.
And people recognize that too, I think.
Yeah, and they do. And I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm a people investor, okay? You know, I have certain belief in politics. I have certain beliefs, and that's my beliefs, okay? Yeah. And I'm an advocate for those beliefs. And, you know, that's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, you know, my whole philosophy for my company and my ethos in my company is I'm a people investor. Yeah. You know, like our community, people, you know, the biggest thing I see, man, is like people get on Facebook and they're ranting about all this shit. And, you know, like, you can't change anything on Facebook. Yeah. Like, what are you doing for your local community?
What are you doing? Right.
What are you doing in your house? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing at your job? What are you doing in the city you live in? You know, and that's what I try to impact, and that's what I care about the most, you know?
Yeah, and you mentioned in your house, too. I feel like that's a great place to start for a lot of people. Is like, if your house is not in order, then why are you so worried about, you know, other countries even? It's like, well, your own living room is going to hell, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, people get so wrapped up in like pointing fingers and like, you know.
Is that just media, you think? Just like telling you what you need to be worried about all the time?
People just, you know, they're so impressionable. Yeah. And really what it boils down to, I mean, for me, I mean, I lived in a lot of extreme circumstances in a bunch of different ways. And, you know, I had to find my foundation. Yeah. You know, and my foundation is firm now. Okay.
What do you think got you there? Because, I mean, I don't know how much we're going to dive into your personal life and your history, and we don't have to at all if you don't want to. But I mean, I know obviously and we'll talk about how we know each other too. I want to get to that. I know a lot about you. So I mean, for you personally, like if you had to look at maybe, is there a moment in your life where you kind of felt like this is who I am, or is that more of a gradual thing?
I think it's more of a bunch of moments.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a bunch of moments of coming to a place in life to where you take responsibility for who you are today. Right. And you're no longer impacted by past. Sure. You know, or, you know, I've got shafted here, or my parents are shitty, or my job sucks, or I got this happened to me, and blah, 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 blah. Right. You know, and for a lot of my years, like, you know, I was raised in a crazy childhood, and I mean, you know, I was a output of what I lived in. Sure. You know, and I learned what I learned from my parents, and, you know, I carried that forth. And then at some point, I was like, you know, this is not who I am. This is not who I want to be.
Well, you have kids now, too, so I would imagine that kind of opened your eyes to that. And, like, you know, you don't want to just make them a product of their environment, which is the same one you grew up in. Like, you want to change that pattern.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, the thing of it is the only way to do that is, like, you know, I can talk as much as I want to, but it's the way that I'm living. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I always say this to my guys, to everybody, it's like lead by example. And and I say this, I'm not a perfect human. Yeah. Never will be. I've got shortcomings, I've got mistakes, I've got errors, but I'm okay with talking about those. And I don't have to defend them. I don't have to make an excuse for them. Yeah. There's times when I make mistakes, but I try to, I take responsibility for them, and I try to move on. You know, and that's in personal and professional life.
Right, which are two different things, but
I tie it together.
I feel like you have grown. Would you I don't know. You would know better than me. I feel like from what I know about you, which is a lot, that you have, like, your personal life and business life has just changed so rapidly, like from the start to now. I mean, I feel, you know, again, I don't know how much of your backstory we want to go into necessarily, but the growth and like the change in your life is maybe more than any human I know personally. That's actually why I wanted you in here, is just because I think that something happens to people when they go through so much shit like that. Like, it just kind of changes you, and I think it's for the better most of the time. Maybe not all the time, but eventually they kind of work through it or plow through it, and I think you've done that.
Well, I mean, you know, yeah, I did.
Because some people just play the victim forever too.
And that's
an option.
And that's the position that I'm going to talk about is, you've got two different options. And I've had a lot of good people come into my life, that I've heard things from, and I've heard encouraging words from. And people believed in me in a time in my life when I didn't believe in myself,
Did you ever do AA or any programs like that at all?
I still do. I mean,
you still do?
I still participate in 12 steps.
Yeah.
And, I'm still advocate for those. I mean, I do a lot of different things. I participate in a lot of other groups.
Right.
Anything, I'm an advocate for people in general, but I'm an advocate specifically for people that's been incarcerated, for people that's been on drugs. It takes a lot to step up out of that and move into something different in life.
And I think it takes even more to turn around and extend that hand backwards like you're doing. I mean, that's there's a whole nother level of risk involved by getting involved with those folks just because your own temptations and your own life and your history that, turn around and kind of not like jumping back into that world necessarily, but even just still like reaching out a hand backwards can be dangerous.
It is.
To stay on track.
It is, and it's bit me in the ass a couple of times. Like some people, the thing of it is some people are not necessarily ready.
Sure. Well, they take advantage of your help and Yeah,
I've had guys that have worked for me, that I've hired and I've known them from 20 years ago, and they've made poor decisions and gotten situations that I've had to take responsibility for. And, you know what I mean? And turn around and say ugly things about me, my company, and whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, my purpose is my purpose. And, I'm not going to let that derail me from being who I am.
Yeah.
And again, I say this again, is like, I'm a people investor, and like that is one of my purposes. I feel like this. I want people to be impacted in a positive way, the best I can in the way that I know how.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure I do some stuff that's not good too. Okay.
Sure.
So just take it.
We can talk about that too. Yeah, but I can give you some examples.
Yeah. I mean, well, look, hell, I've been a menace a few times, I'm not ashamed of it.
Well, let's just, while we're here, I'm going to bring it up. So the way that Michael and I know each other, we just met actually. We go back to before I was born, actually.
In the womb.
In the womb is how long we've known each other. And the reason I say like I can bring some stuff up is I was actually on the phone with Mom last night, and she was like asking about this, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna play gotcha with it.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, look, it's all game.
Well, no, so you've been Mom's best friend since you guys were what, like 15 years old or something?
15 years,
with my mom, right?
Yeah.
So then I come along years later, and you guys are already friends, and then throughout my entire life, you've been around.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there was times when you weren't as much too, and there's times where you were more and stuff. And I have like some of my own personal stories with you that I'll probably tell at some point in this episode. But I just want because of your connection to Mom, that's why you're here. That's why I know you. But even without that, getting to like witness your life and know your story, the amount that I do, which is probably not 100%, but is a lot, is more of a reason why you're here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think that's so this whole show, like the idea is there's not really a theme or like a box for the guests. It's just the only through line is like somebody who I think is like an exceptional human or has been through things and has a story to tell. And I feel like I don't really know anybody that has a story to tell quite like yours. It's really crazy.
I mean, it is to me sometimes too.
Is it? That's what I was going to ask.
Like when you're riding in this seat over here sometimes, like when I'm riding in my seat, I'm like, damn.
We've been through a lot.
I'm like, we've been through a lot. Yeah. And I sit back and I look at it and I'm like, man, it's amazing really. But the thing of it is, and I'm going to say this, is like my purpose is my purpose and I know my purpose. And, when you're driven by a purpose, there's nothing that can stand in your way. And no doesn't stop you. I've heard so many no's,
Sure.
And the reason I started that company was because I kept hearing the no's. My prior life led me into places that got me, basically into situations where I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
Okay. Society's not forgiving in some ways. Okay. So that started me into my company, but I built that company out of necessity.
Yeah.
And purpose. My purpose was to provide for myself and my family. And then once I got to that place where I seen the doors open and the good people encouraging me, it's like my purpose is to do the same thing. Right.
Right.
So, these people, I'm pushing them to be the best they can.
Right. Well, it's also like the people who extended their hands to you at one time probably had someone extend their hands to them. It's just passing that along.
Yeah, man.
Right. And I mean, honestly, the only comparison I have to that is the stand-up world, because that's just my whole world now, Yeah. But like I have guys that I've opened for that have been just like insanely generous with advice, with opportunity, with all these things. And I know that it's because at some point when they were where I am in this crazy journey, some other comic did the same thing. You know what I mean?
Somebody helped them along.
Somebody helped them.
Yeah.
But then there's also assholes that don't and want to keep everybody, you know, like that famine mentality of like there's not enough for everybody. Don't help the people. Let them rot. Don't let them catch up. That kind of shit. So, I mean, I'm sure you have examples of that too, I'm sure. People that kind of gate kept for you. And
oh, yeah. I mean, the thing of it is, like, professionally, you know, I've got a ton of, and personally, like, I've got people that have encouraged me from day one that I could pick up the phone and they're still rooting me on to this day, even though I maybe have surpassed their level of professionalism in several ways. They're still rooting for me. They're not threatened by me. They love me. They care about me. And those are the people I want in my corner. And those are few and far between, you know?
Right.
And you know, that's the kind of friendships I nurture.
What's like maybe a rough number of like that core team that you have? I mean, is it
maybe 3, man.
3, right? Because any more than that, it gets unmanageable. Somebody falls through. Like, a tight circle.
Well, I've got a very tight group of people that I trust.
That's huge.
And I mean, you know, and the thing of it is that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And
well, coming from your background too, I would imagine, and maybe this is being a little presumptuous, but I would imagine that makes it hard to really like trust or invest in anybody. So even having a tight circle, even having 3 probably feels vulnerable at times where it's like sharing the load with these 3 guys. Because I think a lot like you in that way.
One of your mom. I mean, your mom's in there. I mean, it's a girl.
Yeah.
You know, it's a girl and a couple of guys.
Yeah.
Really,
right.
To be honest with you. So.
Right. But even to have those 3 is like, it's hard for me sometimes to trust people just because of the way I grew up, you know, to like allow anyone to even help me is very difficult sometimes.
You know, I look at the motive of people before I look at their words. I can hear people saying something, but their motive tells me the story about their life.
Look at the motive.
The motive of why. What is their motive? Okay, are they helping me from a generous place in their heart? Are they encouraging me? Are they trying to benefit from it?
Yep.
You know, what's their motive?
Leverage.
And once I understand the motive, I determine my level of friendship with all kinds of people. You know, I have many friends. Let me just be honest. I have many friends at different levels of friendship. Okay, some of us are just friends during the day. Some of us are just friends in certain situations, colleagues, you know.
Business,
business
sure.
or personal.
Sure.
You know, but, you know, I got a tight group, man.
Yeah. Well, that's so important, too. And, I mean, comedy kind of, like, forces that, I think. Like, I've got a couple of guys, really probably just 2 for me that, like, they're a little ahead of me on this weird, like, journey we're all on together. And, you know, sometimes they get opportunities I don't. And sometimes that's difficult for me because I know I'm a little behind just time-wise as far as, like, I haven't been doing it quite as long. But they're kind of my peer group. So sometimes I see them getting opportunity I'm not. And that's tough for me. And then I just remember like, oh no, we're all on the same track. I'm just a couple steps behind. But what I was going to say is that gives me this cool opportunity to watch them succeed and fail. Yeah. And then see that roadmap. So, I mean, for you, like the few 3 guys and gals in that circle for you, is that a similar thing where it's like because I'm sure at times the thing about being like an inner circle is you're a part of that circle too. So I'm sure they kind of rely on you in that same way, or they see you fail or win. You know what I mean?
They do, and you know the thing about these people, they know. There's a few of them they know, and one of them, you know, she's like, if I ever go to jail, you're the first person I'm going to call.
Sure.
You know, she's like, and she's a very well-known person, and you know, like she's reputable in a good place. She's like, Michael, you're the most solid person, and that's the kind of friendships I enjoy. You know, like solid friendships. Yeah. And you know, they've kind of supported me, and we have fought, and you know, and it's kind of been an evolving friendship of you know, we've seen each other's colors. Yeah. Good, bad, and indifferent.
Well, I've been there for a lot of those moments with Mom. I can. We could probably talk on Mom for hours. Yeah. She's also going to come in here at some point soon, I think, and set me straight on the mic. I think she's excited to get in here and tell me how I've been lying about my whole childhood. I think she's excited for that.
Yeah, well, you know, you should.
But I mean, don't worry, she'll listen to this one as soon as it comes out, and she'll call you and tell you everything you lied about too.
Yeah, probably. She'll be like, well, maybe it wasn't. That's the way I remember it, right?
Yeah. So. Oh, of course. Yeah. The one thing that she was like, what do you think he's going to bring? I said, I already know he's going to tell the whole world how I pooped on him when I was a baby. That's going to be number one.
Shit all over me.
So let's just.
All down my shirt. Look, all up in front of it. Look.
So, paint this picture for me because I'm too young to. This wasn't on purpose, obviously.
No, I hope not. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 14 in this story. I'm a baby. I'm not. I'm not an adult. Yeah. I'm a baby, and so you were holding me, right? Isn't that the story?
Yeah, we were at your grandmother's at the lake swimming, me and your mom, and we were there, and I think you were up on the couch with your grandma, and we went up there, and your mom's all, she's a new mom, she's trying to handle wife and figure shit out, and we're swimming, and we're up there, and I think she was getting you packed up or whatever, and I was like, here, let me hold him. She's like, no, and I was like, here, let me hold him, and about the time I held you, dude, it was like, boom.
Yeah.
All down the front. I was like, I didn't know what it was. I was trying to figure out, look, at first I was like trying to figure out what happened. I mean, I was like, what is this weight on me? And I stuck my hand around here and stuck my hand all in, crap.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Surprise.
Yeah. And your mom started laughing.
Yeah.
And
she loves that story.
Yeah, it was funny. Really.
She's going to be very glad that I brought that up.
Yeah, we laughed about it, dude. We still, look, here we are.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Well,
I've been told about it a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of years later. 20-some years later, and we're still laughing. So it's cool.
Yeah. So gross, though. But I mean, shit happens.
Yeah, literally.
Literally, it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, at that point you're around, and then there's a period there where you're not really around when I'm a kid. Like I remember mom going to see and stuff, but then there is a period again where you're around a lot more. I'm thinking maybe like 6th grade for me, 5th or 6th grade, I think it is, because I know the school I'm at, and the reason I know is that like one day a week.
What year is that?
20. Probably 11, 12.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 2011, 12.
11, 12, I'm thinking. Somewhere in there. And there's, we're living in Bluntville at the time. And I remember there's like 1 or 2 days a week that you would come and you would crash at our house at that time. For what, I don't remember exactly why, but you would. And the reason I remember what grade I was in is because it got to the point where I think it was maybe like Tuesday, or let's just say Tuesday, is the night you would hang out with us and inevitably like crash at our house. And then the next morning I would be late for school, like hours late. Every day, because you and me would be playing 2K all morning. Do you remember this at all? Is this okay? Yeah. So we would sit there when I'm supposed to be at school. I'm just like playing basketball on the PlayStation with you, and then mom would take me. And it got to the point where like my vice principal would be like standing by the door at like 10 a.m. on Tuesday because he knew, or on Wednesday or whatever, because he knew every Wednesday I'm gonna be late. And he'd be like, "Why are you not here?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, man. I overslept." But actually, I'm at home balling with you.
Basketball, PlayStation.
Yeah. And that's like 15 years ago almost, which is kind of crazy too. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to like let the listener know a little bit, like we didn't just meet. We go way back. Yeah, there's a couple. I'm trying to think of some other memories of you. I mean, do you have any non-shit memories of me, or are they all just like me doing that?
I remember a bunch, man. Your mom, I'll be honest with you. I remember a lot of times, you don't remember all this. And your mom, she was a good mom. Yeah. I seen her from the outside looking in, and she always tried to make you a priority, and she was always fighting through her things. And we all got shit, man. We all got stuff, and well, I remember especially, her. Yeah. I remember her prioritizing. I used to call her and be like, let's go out to the club, let's go out. And she's like, oh, I got Nathaniel tonight, I can't go tonight, blah, blah, blah. And, so, I remember a lot of different stuff, right. And, there's a lot of different memories along the way.
It's kind of hard for her now too, because a lot of my talking about her on stage and stuff, like that's an act. So sometimes I just have to remind her and go like, hey, by the way, I know that's kind of inflated. Like it's an act. You know what I mean? Like it's not 100% factual of how it was for me growing up. But it's tough because sometimes I think, making jokes or making light of certain stuff does kind of maybe not hurt her feelings, but it's like sensitive topic. And so I see that with her sometimes, but a lot of that, like you've been at shows too. You used to come to the old club a lot at Blue Ridge with mom. And is that weird for you to be there? Because like some of that stuff you live through too,
It's not weird. It's not. I get the whole concept of it. I'm just a very, me and your mom, I got a level of respect for her and I care about her. She's my friend, and I know when things hurt her feelings. And it's really because she's trying to come to terms with a lot of it herself.
Sure.
As a parent, and I'll just say this on my side, like as a parent, I still feel like I fall short with my kids.
Sure.
Like you want to do the best you can. Like you're striving to be the best person, but there's something inside of you that's like every once in a while, like, dang, I could have done better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
I would be more worried if there wasn't that.
Yeah, I know.
What I mean?
Yeah,
that's good.
But I'm just saying there's always that kind of like, hey, man, I could have done better here. Yeah. Like my first son, Tyson, right? Yeah. Like my first kid, right? I look back and I'm like, there's things I should have done different. Like my daughter, years later, I've got it a little better with her.
Right. Well, she's young. How many years younger is she than
They're
Tyson?
5 apart.
Apart.
She just turned 10 last weekend.
Right.
He's turning 16 in November.
So 5 is enough time for you to kind of make some mistakes and grow from that, even just in your own life, not even as a parent, but just come at it from a different. That's another thing with mom too. Is like, I give her a lot of shit, especially on stage. But it's like thinking about me now. I'm 25. Mm-hmm. Thinking about me having an 8-year-old. Mm-hmm. There's no way I could have done one iota of the shit that she did for me. You know what I mean? Like,
you got to.
Right. But she did, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And being 17 with a baby is like so unimaginable to me now, even though that baby is me. It's weird for me to look back and like it gives me a lot of I don't want to say I like maybe dismissed the wrong thing she did, because there is some stuff she probably regrets too. I know she does. But it just gives you some perspective of like why, you know what I mean? Similar to your thing where it's like 5 years later you can look backwards and go,
well, yeah, I mean, I'm like, my daughter's 5, my son's 10, and I done got 5 years of mistakes ahead of her. Right. And good stuff. Like, I know what works and what don't work. Sure. And girls are different than boys. But, I'm making a little bit better decisions.
Well, you're doing a lot better than some dads do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a shot. Sometimes this show feels like I'm taking shots.
It's just a fact sometimes.
It's just a fact.
Sometimes it's just a fact. And that's okay.
Well, that's the other thing about this show, too, is, like I think the very first episode, my friend Dustin was here, and he was asking me something about the dad situation. And I just answered honestly, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude." And I was like, "No, I'm sorry, that got sad." And I was like, this show's going to get sad a lot. And that's fine with me, because it's like, well, he kind of said after we quit recording, we were talking about it, and he was like, "Do you ever, like get a little nervous about talking about that stuff on mic, or on camera?" And I think maybe I would have like years ago, but I think I'm at a point now where it's like, I don't feel bad about telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The truth sucks, and maybe it is sad or maybe it's fucked up, but that's just how it was for me.
And there's nothing to be ashamed about.
Right. No, well, there's no shame at all. That was never a thing. It was more
embarrassed.
I think it was more like I was protecting him. Yeah. And I don't want to single out my dad in this situation either. Just people who have been done wrong to me. Out of fear of like protecting other people's feelings, sometimes I'm not honest about hardships. And that's not good, I think. Especially on something like this where I'm trying to be transparent.
Yeah, the thing of it is, and I'll tell you this story right here, and this is a good one, like, about my father, my dad. Okay, so I'll tell you the story, and, so grew up on the place on the lake. My grandmother had this place. We lived in a mobile home there, okay. It was a kind of a shitty mobile home, but I loved that lake. It was kind of a great place. My dad, man, everybody loved my dad. Like, everybody loved him, but he was he was not a nice person to me.
To
you know
you.
what I'm saying? To me.
Sure.
So here I am. I live down there with him by myself. My mom's bailed. She's in Florida. My dad's this, basically this big time drug dealer. I've got to live a secret life basically with him. I go to school. I can't bring people over. I mean, he's,
right.
And I kind of lived in that lifestyle with him. And, when I'm 15, 16, I come home one day and my family's in the driveway and they're like, I was like, "Where's Dad at?" And they're like, "Well, he had a car wreck." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Get in the car, we're going to Kingsport." And I was like, "Oh," they're like, "Get your things." And I was like, "Okay." And, all the way up there, I kept saying, "Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay?" And I get to Kingsport and they're like, "He died." And
how old are you?
I was 15.
15.
And, there's a brief part of me that was glad. Because
he's so mean to you.
Because the things that I went through.
Yeah.
It was the person that you loved the most and hated the most all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I go on to say this is like that property. I love that place. I fished there.
Yeah.
Like it was my greatest memories. Okay. And I remember when I was 15, I was like, I'm gonna get this back. So anyway, my grandmother flipped her lid. They sold the property.
Right.
I was devastated. I continued to live in chaos because of that. Right.
Yeah.
Made a bunch of bad decisions. Okay. Yeah. Ended up where I ended up. And so in my mind, I kept telling myself, I'm going to get that place back.
Yeah.
It took me, and this is where I'm saying this, is it took me 28 years. I offered this guy that bought it. He's had it for 28 years. Mm-hmm. And I offered this guy the money, twice what he paid for it, like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Okay. Then 10 years later, I come to him again and offered him more money. Then last year, I went to him at the right time with the right amount of money. Mm-hmm. And I bought that place back.
I know.
And I remember, because, hey, we all need somebody to talk to. I got a close friend. She said, "What are you going to do with it?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'm going to burn that bitch to the ground." She said, what do you mean? And I said, I'm going to take that house because it was still the original home.
Oh, it's still there.
Oh, it was still there. That's the whole reason I wanted it.
Yeah.
I didn't want it.
You don't want the land.
I didn't want the land. I wanted to burn it to the ground.
The memories.
Yeah. So she said, you're going to buy that to burn it to the ground.
Damn, that's powerful. Yeah.
And I said, yeah. So anyway, long story short, I cleaned up all the people that were around it. It's a campground. It's a house.
Yeah.
And, I burned it to the ground probably last year. Videoed it. Talked about it. It was the most therapeutic thing in the world.
Sure.
And the thing about it is like I can talk about it. My dad was not a nice person, but there was parts of him that were good.
Of course.
And now that land down there, it's a place that I've built tiny homes. I'm building more tiny homes and people and my children. My daughter just had her 10th birthday down there. All her friends.
Yeah.
I'm overlaying.
You're literally overriding the bad memories.
The ugly memories and creating those.
God, that's beautiful, man.
And dude, that impacts me in a way. If I told my kid's mom, Leah's a great mom, man, and she supported me with that party, and I told her, I said, if I don't do anything else right in my life, getting this property back, letting my daughter have that because originally it was my grandma. My grandma was good to me.
Right.
She gave it to my dad. Okay, so
and that kind of soiled it for you.
Yeah, and I was like, if I can let her have her birthday party down there with her friends and see her laugh, knowing that's her grandfather's, her great grandmother's place, then I feel complete, dude.
Right. And she's 10, so I'm sure you haven't maybe been 100% with all the context of what that land means, and maybe that'll come later.
Yeah.
But to see her laughing and just like you said, literally like overriding the memory on this. God, that is so beautiful. And something I'm in therapy too. I think I've mentioned it probably every damn episode of the show. Everybody. It's good for everybody. But one thing that I kind of recently came to with my therapist is I have certain cities for me where it's like, maybe I went there with an ex or something like that, or I had a really core bad memory in this place or something like that. And then I get sort of this like, I kind of relate to, I could feel it when you were talking about this like gut wrenching, like disgust, angst feeling, just thinking about the city. But slowly, one at a time, I've kind of gone back to these places and overwritten that with all this. And you realize, oh, it's not the city. It's nothing to do with, it's not like as soon as you drive into the city limits, you get that feeling. That's not it. It's your brain kind of like mapping out these traumas and these bad memories. So for you, I mean, that is like the most, that is a really cool, like a redemption story kind of to go, absolutely. I'm taking this back for me. Yeah.
And it has been it's one of the awesome things. And, right now I'm developing it on. And I'm going to, I want everybody to enjoy it. This place, everybody's like, are you going to move down there? And I'm like, no, not yet. I don't want to live down there. I want to put so many good memories on it that is saturated. I want to see kids. Yeah. I want to see families. I want to see my family. I want to see everybody's family, you and your kids, your family, whoever. I want to see people enjoy that place. Right. And that's what I bust my butt to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a crazy, and you said, basically a couple of years after you lost your dad, that's when you started trying to get that land back. And so at the time, you already had this exact idea in your head. I mean, this is a 28-year...
long game, baby.
Long game. Yeah. Right. That's crazy. So, I mean, that has to make it feel 28 times better when you finally get there.
That's what taking no don't do. I don't take no. I knew I was going to get it back. Right. It was just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time.
It was just a matter of time. I mean...
what changed it? Just... money. That's what changes mine. And 28 years later, you've built this business and you've built this life for yourself where you can afford to go, hey,
what's it take?
Right.
What's it take to make you happy?
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily a buyout. And I go into this and say this too. The man that bought the place originally, he was very good to me, and he would allow me to come down there and camp and spend time down there. So he was a good dude,
Yeah, that's good.
So he let me enjoy it. And he wanted to leave it to his sons. But unfortunately, they kind of went down the wrong path and ended up in a bad place, and he was in a bad place, and they really needed the help. And what he requested, I give him more. Right. Because
of how good he was to you.
My heart. Yeah. I'm not about to take advantage. It's I wanted him to be in a good place, and I moved him, and the whole deal is like I wanted to move him and let him be settled in and be good too. You know what I mean? Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's such a, man, we could talk about that for another hour too, but like, what a crazy, talk about long game, 28 years, it's like game, really long game. And I'm sure there's probably periods across that 28 years where you kind of, maybe you never forget about it, but you're not like as singular focused on that goal. You know what I mean? It kind of fades and you have other goals. But as you're accomplishing all that you have over the last 28 years, has that always been this like looming thing of like, yeah, I got this, but I still haven't done that?
There's several things in my life that I wanted to achieve, and that was one of them.
That was one.
Okay, and it never was ever, I never really obsessed over it. I just knew in the comfort of my own heart that eventually I would get it back.
Yeah.
That would be my lifelong goal and ambition, okay,
right.
to get it back.
Do you use words like manifest and stuff? I mean, it's kind of like I don't love people that use words like that. Sometimes it makes it like waters it down. But I mean, that's 28 years of you thinking about this moment.
The way I think is you have to think it before you can do it.
Sure.
Okay, so,
right.
I mean, if you think negative, you're going to feel negative and you're going to act negative. You think positive and you think, like in my mind, and I say this, and some people say it's arrogance, but I believe that you can accomplish anything that you choose to.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that, and myself.
Well, you're living proof of it.
There is no limit to what capability you have or me. It's really up to us as individuals to go out here and get that. Yeah. And in my mind, I was never going to take no for an answer, a complete end, right?
Right.
And, I just walked in a lot of faith and I just kept working hard and striving to do what I did, and the door opened and I was ready.
I think a lot of people's argument to that too, of like, you can do whatever you want, is, what about people who are like born at a disadvantage? What about people who don't have an easy setup, who have a bad hand of cards? But I mean, that's you.
I negate that.
Right. That's you. That I know, because I know you. I know that none of that argument is valid against you, because you've gone through what most people don't. Like as a kid and even as an adult, as a young adult, and through the things that you've been through. I mean, it's crazy to sit here and hear you say stuff like that, because I know you, and I don't know how much this will read over just audio and the cameras, you know what I mean? But because I know you and have my entire life, it's you're such an example of what you're saying that I couldn't possibly sit here and argue it, because you're right here.
And that's what, I think that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
To share it.
Yeah. The thing of it is,
interesting.
I think the purpose of that is, and I hear a lot of people, and, let's just be honest. I mean, my life, I made a bunch of poor decisions. I had great grandparents. I grew up at a disadvantage because my father made, he was, like I said, drug dealer, convicted.
Yeah.
What happened when he passed away? I stepped into his shoes. I mean, I kind of followed that path. I ended up in trouble, landed myself in prison. Mm-hmm. I'm serving 3 years in prison, and I mean, I used to be embarrassed to share about that. I
was curious. Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up.
Like, I don't really mind it now. The thing of it is, I got in trouble, and I ended up having to go to prison for drug possession, and nothing really changed in there either. And I say this because rehabilitation never started there. Okay,
right.
It was a change in mindset for me. Like I got out of prison. And this is the truth. Like I got out of prison and nothing had changed mentally, right? I'm still in this mindset.
You think that's why a lot of people get out and go right back to
the
same?
They go right back. Yeah. And they don't have the reinforcement when they get out, the positive, reinforcement.
They get back with the same group or
They don't know how to get out of that pattern. Yeah. And I'm an advocate for those guys, right? So I get out of prison and, your mom's there. And that's the reason I was up there. Your mom's trying to help me stay focused and stuff. But, I mean, she can only do so much. But, so I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
I kept applying for these jobs, and I would get kicked down. And I didn't have a driver's license. I was freaking homeless, man. I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a driver's license. I was homeless.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out. And I knew inside of me that I didn't want to give up.
Right.
And that's what I say to people that are at a disadvantage. I mean, you have to find something inside of you that doesn't want to give up.
Was there ever a time before that? Like when you were a kid, do you ever remember? Because, I mean, I think it's kind of logical that a kid would sit and go, why did life hand me this deck of cards? Why am I stuck with this? Like, kind of feeling like a victim is kind of natural when you're just born into it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at a certain point, your brain switched and went, I'm not going to be the victim.
I'm a survivor.
I'm going to overcome. I'm going to change. I'm literally going to burn down the old house and buy it back and override it. Right.
And that's what I did. And that's what you did. And that's what I did. And so nowadays, I look back at it and all the things that I went through, have purpose to me.
Right.
And all the good and bad choices all work for the greater good to me.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, like I've got guys for me that have been incarcerated. I'm an advocate for them dudes.
Yeah.
And women. Yeah. Okay. I've got, a mom that raises kids on her own, a single mom, and I mean, she busts her ass, and like, I'm an advocate for her because she is trying, and I'm supporting that. Yeah. I got a dude that's got 4 kids, and he's trying to be a good father, and I mean, he was in prison, and he's getting out, and he's out here doing the next right thing. Like, he is out here grinding, trying to do good.
Right.
I'm supporting him.
It's not people who are just blowing off their families and like choosing to go back to that lifestyle. You're not. You know the difference, I assume. I can
see somebody walk down the road.
Yeah.
And tell their frame of mind.
Right.
Okay. Right. And if you're like, there's a difference, and I say this, there's a difference between a hand up and a hand out.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And that's what a lot of people are in this mindset that we owe them something or somebody owes them something from some kind of whatever, but nobody owes you shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if
somebody's I think that's such a huge thing, especially in today's world. And I'll take the blame and go, not only am I like guilty of that sometimes, but more just maybe my age, my generation is a big like.
Not just yours now.
Well, not just mine. But
Mom.
I'm saying, right, a lot of people, maybe just expand, yeah.
Even my mom.
Right.
She's like, oh, I get that for free. I'm like, you don't get anything for free.
Right.
Like that free stuff that you get from Medicaid and all those other places, it's not for free.
Yeah.
Like, we pay for that somewhere. Everything that we get.
Is it easier, you think, sometimes to just go, well, my life sucks, but it's not my fault, so I'm just going to sit here in it and be the victim. I think sometimes that's easier.
People
right?
love it. It's a comfort. Well, I don't think
it's easier because you don't have to look at yourself.
You don't have to look at yourself.
Or grow.
You don't have to retrospect. You don't have to put in any work.
Right.
You don't have to do anything. It's the easier, softer way.
Easier, right? It's easier.
It's easier because looking at yourself and taking responsibility and like wondering why, you can't do anything. I mean, it's because of you.
Right. Yeah, and I'll kind of jump back to an example I thought of too. So recently in another conversation with my therapist, one thing that came up is, we talk a lot about like my relationship trouble stuff I struggle with. And my girlfriend's amazing. It's the best, healthiest relationship I've ever been in. But I'm so fucked up from what I witnessed as a kid. I didn't have a great example of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can sit there wherever. I just didn't have a great example of it. So sometimes it's like I literally don't know how to be a good partner because I just didn't really see it a lot. But one of the things that came up was, this idea of like anger and how I saw it kind of manifest in some of the male role models in my life. Not one in particular, but some. And I kind of said one thing that to my therapist about something I witnessed one time. And he actually laughed. This is the first time he's ever laughed at me. And he was like, holy shit, like, are you serious? And I was like, I swear to God, that's what happened, and that's what was said to me. And basically what happened is there was like some abuse going on, and the person said to me, that's just kind of, that's when you love somebody, that's what you do. You just kind of, that's what you do. And I was maybe 11 at the time. So I go, oh, okay. I guess when you love someone, you get really mad and you fight and you hit them. You know what I'm saying? Like that to a kid, I don't know that that's not correct. I'm being told by my single leading male role model that that's what you do. So anyway, I'm explaining this to my therapist. I'm like, so I'm not that guy. I don't have that in me. That's never been me. But I worry about it sometimes when I get angry in situations and stuff. And the funny thing too is like in that moment, it is easier to go, well, I didn't have a good example, So obviously I don't. Right. And then as soon as I catch myself doing that, I go, no, fuck that, man. Like I can overcome that, even though that's all I saw. Is like nonsense, and guys who weren't good at that's not like an excuse for me. But some people, I think it's a cop out. It's easier to just go, well, I didn't have a good example. But I mean, you're sitting two people in this video right now that had not a lot of great examples, and we're doing fine. Like we're doing better than those examples at least, or at least I am. And anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to kind of insert that there, but I don't know. Is that? I feel like you have overcome so many of those bad examples that it's
just a frame of mind. It's a frame of mind, and the thing of it is when that shifted, it changed everything.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't really know when it happened for me, to be honest with you. Do you know like a rough age, maybe around?
Probably about 15 years ago. I was probably about 30 years old.
Oh wow! So that's later, I think, in life that you kind of.
Yeah, man. I mean, the first, I was out of the world for the first 30 years. 15 to. I mean, like when my dad passed, I was a buck wild, moving to Florida all over the East Coast, just running rampant and acting out, and so it took a little while. I mean, it takes a little life experience, and the thing of it is, it's like, to be honest with you, this stuff has existed way before we've been aware of it.
Oh, of course.
In many people. Yeah. You know, the thing of it is like it's all about my focus. And if I focus on the bad, I really beat myself up. You know, and there's a balance in there between retrospect and like looking back at yourself and be like, okay, you know, this is where I need to make an improvement. Yeah. But I'm not an awful person. Yeah. You know, and I'm doing the best I can with what I have, right? At this time. And that's the thing I tell myself is like, at this moment, I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And now I'm going to change and work on that. But, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. You know?
Well, it's interesting, too, that you mentioned, you know, like everybody, this has existed for a long time because those same bad role models that we have, like in my case, I can look at, you know, my grandfather's upbringing or my dad's upbringing or whatever it is and cite all these reasons for why they are the way they are too. The only difference is one of them more than the other, but that some people just never take ownership of that and go, you know what I mean? Like they never got to the point where they went, yeah, that was all pretty fucked up, but I'm just going to overcome it. They just kind of repeat the pattern almost, or they just let it slide by, or they let it rule them. Kind of. They let it dominate who they are, and then thereby they kind of pass it down without even meaning to, you know? And that's such a scary thing, too. Like, I don't have any kids or anything right now, and I think about that all the time of, like, being the one to change that. Because not only, you know, I could probably trace it 10 generations up of some of that we're talking about that's like, I personally want to change that in this family tree. That's a lot of pressure for a person.
But you just do the best you can at that moment.
Right. And each one is done a little bit better.
And it is, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, the things that we go through in life, and I see people, and this is something that I've seen. I've seen people from all different walks of life. I have friendships from guys that are homeless on the street to the mayor of this town to whoever it is. You know, I've got many different scales of friendships. Right. And, you know, if people really get bare bones honest, like we're all going through some shit. Yeah. It's just some people hide it better than others. Okay, so I know people that are up here in society's eyes that have a lot of stuff going on at home, divorce, affairs, abuse, the same things. It's just not as transparent, you know. So we're all going through it, man. And once you accept and understand that, like, I take responsibility for who I am. Yeah. You have to do that for yourself individually. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think once you start taking responsibility for who you are and understand that you have a choice, that you're not dictated by your past. And this is a very unpopular opinion I'm getting ready to say is your feelings aren't facts. No, your feelings are not necessarily relevant to everyone. Right. Okay, they are very relevant to you, right? And that's it.
And we live in a world where that is the opposite of what is preached all the time.
Your feelings but I'm with you. Change with the weather. Right. Your feelings change with every fleeting moment.
Your feelings are not fact. Well, I would even extend that to say, like, sometimes with I kind of get maybe trapped in my own head a little bit at times. That's part of just being me, I think. And so part of that comes with like I'll have this feeling and it's bouncing around in there for, you know, maybe days. I'm stuck in a funk or stuck in a groove. And then it does take, and it's not easy. It's not easy to do, but something comes along that knocks you out of it and you go, oh yeah, that's just something that was in there. It's not even true. It's not even true, maybe.
I tell people all the time, like, this is one of my scenarios. Like, I deal with facts most of the time. Like in business, I'm talking facts. Right. Like I teach my people, when you come to me and you have a conversation with me, I'm looking for facts. I don't look for assumptions. I don't care about the feelings of it. I care about the facts first, and then we can get to the rest of it. Now, you know, and that's just the reality of it. Yeah. But I mean, those things change so much. Sure. I mean, you know, for me, and this is something I've learned, you can't think your way out of a problem. You have to walk your way out of a problem, right? So you know, like for me, sometimes it's action. Yeah. You know, like if I feel something, usually if I get upset about something, I'll walk my way out of it. You know, like I'll get up and physically move, or I'll do something. And
just change your environment.
Change my environment, yeah. And you know, and all of my feelings aren't relevant. And once I come to that conclusion, that shit was a game changer. Man.
That's a huge game changer. Even like, I'm thinking like, you ever be on the highway and you see like another guy in a car, and at first you're like, that's just, you know, almost like a background character in your story. And then you think to yourself, oh no, he's like on his way to work and is probably late and had a flat tire and has a shit. Like he has shit going on too.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Give him a little empathy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. That's hard for people, man. Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
I ain't got any patience.
That's true. It depends on where you're at in traffic.
If they're in the fast lane and they're not moving up, we got a problem.
I'm with you. But I mean, really though, having that empathy for others, I think I would love to sit here and tell you that has allowed me to have more empathy for myself. I'd be lying to you. The biggest challenge for me to overcome is I am so fucking tough on me. I can't do it. I just, for whatever reason, I don't know, there's a lot of like stereotypical answers I could give you, and I don't know how right they'd be.
But where does that come from? I mean, what are you comparing yourself to? I mean, most of the time.
Usually just me, man. Usually just me.
Well, there's got to be a comparative nature.
A lot of times, I know a lot of people struggle, especially like with social media and stuff, of comparing to other people and look what he's got and look what. And I think maybe in comedy I do that a little bit sometimes. I even mentioned at the start of this, like my two closest friends, and I see them get things. That's a little hard for me at first, and then I get over it. But I don't think that's it, man. I think for some reason as a kid, I kind of and this is where conversation gets tough because I had a lot of people in my life who took really good care of me and gave me a lot of love. And then I had people who didn't, and I had some did sometimes and didn't sometimes. For somewhere along the way, I decided that I just really wasn't worth a whole lot. And that when I fuck up, it's world ending, if that makes sense. Like it's tough for me to overcome stuff. It's not tough for me to achieve. I do stuff. I mean, even this show is like such a hurdle for me to pull off. We're kind of talking before we clicked record about like all the stuff that the viewer would never know that goes into it. It's a lot, and I can do that, and I'll do it, and I'll succeed at it. But when I fail, it's fucking hard for me to forgive me. That's tough. That's really tough. And I think maybe I felt like I didn't get a lot of forgiveness from other people as a kid. I felt a lot of like shame and judgment. It was kind of I would say that was maybe like the default way to guide me as a kid. Instead of encouragement, I got shamed, if that makes sense. So I think for that reason, it's tough for me sometimes to turn that empathy mirror around and go, hey, it's all right. Like we're struggling, but we're human too. That's happened maybe honestly once in my life. And I have I know the exact moment that I was able to get there with me. But other than that, man, it's tough. It's tough. And that I do think that absolutely holds me back in life, especially with like extending empathy to others. I think it's easier for me, but if I could give it to me, I could probably extend it even more outward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's something that holds me back. Anyway, sorry, that got kind of deep. I don't know. I got off on a tangent there, but
I mean, it's a thing. I mean, it's the reality of life.
Well, that's part of what this show is too. I mean, I'm a comedian, obviously, so I joke around a lot, but I don't mind sharing that. Like, there's no anxiety about sharing that. And more than that, one thing I did want to get to at some point too is, I mentioned that like I didn't have a ton of great role models, and I think every role model has its faults. Obviously, some people are good and they're bad, and blah blah blah. It changes, like your feelings. It's like with the wind. But I did have some, and one thing I wanted to bring up, and this is not easy for me to talk to you about because I've never told you this, and I think you probably remember this. But when I was, I guess I know. I was 14. So at age 14, we lost my great grandmother passed away, who was kind of like the matriarch of the family, and especially for my mom, she was like, I mean, you were there. Yeah, she was like my mom's everything. Yeah. That one still is like a huge hole in mom's heart, all these years later. And so this is over a decade ago. I'm 14, and that's the age where things kind of started to change for me too, and for mom. Like she started, she's maybe just got married at the time or is about to get married. We're moving into a new home. There's like some stable income a little bit, which was not really a thing for me before. And it was tough for me growing up. We weren't doing so hot for a while. And so anyways, so we're at, I'm 90% sure this is at the funeral, and you were there. And I hadn't seen you in a while, and you asked me something. I don't remember the whole conversation. I just remember somehow I shared with you kind of what it had been like for me over the last couple of years, as far as just money and food and groceries and, the struggles of a young parent who at the time, and I'll also give some context because this sounds like I'm throwing her under the bus. She is working 2 jobs and getting a master's degree to provide for me. Yeah, so it's like, I don't want to paint this picture that she, failed as a mom and couldn't provide. That is just not the reality of life, man. It's just the reality of life. That's not the case. The case is that even with all of that, it's tough to support yourself and a kid. So we were struggling. And I said this to you, and I'll never fucking forget this, dude. You said something to the effect of, I didn't know it was like that for you. And then you pulled out your wallet and you gave me $100. And you said, don't tell your mom where this came from. And I put it in my wallet or in my pocket. And I remember thinking to myself, I've never held $100. You know what I mean? Like and I'm 14 at the time. That was more money than I had ever seen with my own two hands that I had ever held. And I got it to Mom, and I'll also say she's going to hear this and be pissed because she knew right away where it came from. You did not. I didn't rat on you, but she knew immediately who would do that for us. And anyway, so when you're talking about these extending your hand and stuff, and you talk about these changes that had to happen in your life and that you're there now, you were doing that a decade ago. Mm-hmm. You know, that moment for me is like super solidified. And I even remember for a lot of years I had this thought of like, one day when I grow up, I'm going to make a lot of money and I'm going to give him that back, you know. And I don't, this is not a surprise. I don't have a lot of money, so I'm not going to give you that back. But I do want to just, that memory is so important to me when I think of you. That's one that stands out because that's a decade ago too. So that's also at a time where your business is not what it is right now. You know what I mean? You maybe weren't in a position to just hand a kid $100. That probably hurt you too, but you did. And that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot. And I know Mom kind of got mad, I think, at the time. Because, you know,
she always gets offended.
There's some, like, embarrassment there, too.
Yeah.
You know, there's some ego involved and stuff.
Well, she's just proud.
She's just proud, right. And but that meant a lot to her, too. I know it did. And and you're not the only one. I mean, a lot of people did really nice stuff for us growing up. But that's an important memory for me because when I'm thinking of like these examples in life, there's so many of them that were wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that everything I ever learned from you was right, because maybe it's not. But in that particular moment, that was right.
Yeah.
That was right. And I think that makes sense to me now when you talk about your attitude towards your guys, your crew and stuff. I mean, that makes sense that same guy from 10 years ago is doing that with them now. You know what I mean?
And you know, and that's my purpose. You know, and I say that like, you know, that's the reason I feel like that my life has been put in the place it is, honestly. I mean, I have worked hard, but I get a lot of opportunities, you know, but, you know, that's what fuels me, you know, because, you know, I've been, you know, in my 20s, like I was wealthy. I was a millionaire in my 20s. You know, and I was one of the most empty people in the world because I had it all to myself, and you know, all my friends were around me for the money, all the girls were around me for the money, and it was one of the most empty places in my entire freaking life. And I mean, like, I had jet skis, I had freaking BMWs, I had materialistic, man. It was like, yes, you know, everybody that seen me thought I was just the shit, and you know, really internally I was shit.
But at the start of that, you probably thought that would make you happy.
Well, I was trying to validate myself, yes, and I was trying to make myself happy because I didn't know how to make myself happy. You know, I didn't know where happiness came from. I guess.
Right. If I just buy a jet ski, I'll be much happier.
Yeah. And I was for a second. But really, when I took a long, hard look at my life, and this is kind of when things began to, like, that was one of the first epiphanies in my life that I remember having, is I remember sitting in this living room. I remember having all this stuff. I remember thinking about this girl that I had, you know, and everybody wanted her. And, you know, I was like, I hate this. And I wanted to give it all away.
And just go.
I took a briefcase to a church in Hawkins County and tried to donate, you know, way up there, a briefcase full of money. They would not take it. And
because they knew where it came from, you think?
Probably, I'm sure. You know, they were like, we can't. They assumed. They're like, we can't take this. Yeah. And I was like, well, okay. So anyway, that was an epiphany moment, and you know, after I shook it off, feelings, right?
Yeah. What a powerful. Okay. But I mean, that's more than a feeling, though. That's a little deeper.
It was real deep.
That's like down to the roots of who you are as a person. That's not just like a passing fancy. Yeah.
No. So that happened, and then you know, so to fast forward now, you know, you know, I've been successful, you know, and the money is a tool to me to be able to help others and provide security for my friends and family and create opportunities. Right. And that's what I use it as. You know, like I'm an investor, I'm an entrepreneur. I love investing, I love entrepreneurship, I love construction, but I love people more. Yeah. To be able to sit back and watch my team of people become the best versions of themselves and know that I played a part of that. Right. You know, it's not...
not a commanding role. You don't want credit for it.
No, I don't want credit. Like, it makes my heart happy. Like, when I see them guys, I got a whole group of them. You know, I've got probably 15, 20 people, you know. And, you know, when I can sit back and see them all, like, going on vacation and spending time with their kids and, like, you know, accomplishing things and building houses. And, you know, I got one right now, he's building a house. I got another lady, she's getting ready to build her house. And, you know, I've got this other guy, he's moved into a new place. I got this guy, he got a new car. And, I mean, some things, it's all small feats. But, like, to know that I'm supporting these people to do good and encourage good.
Right.
That's what makes me sleep good.
Well, definitely, yeah, I can see it really like giving you a sense of like accomplishment and pride and pride for them though, not for you, for them.
Yeah.
Almost like that parent role kind of. And I guess, not to get too like therapist on you because mom's gonna love this, but I think it makes total sense to me that a child who grew up with feeling like such an absence of a parent role or a support or a pride from any like father figure, that you would now really value doing that for others. That makes total fucking sense to me.
Nailed it. I mean, that's absolutely
that makes total sense. And I think it's so funny too. Like we're all just such a product of our environment, like you said in the first few minutes of this, is like that molded you in the same way that I think seeing a lot of things wrong for me as a kid makes those things very important for me to correct. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of, to use that same example I was talking about with Haley's, like, and I'm pretty transparent with her about my past and stuff, but not 100% because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But the truth is, like every time that I do something small that is good as a boyfriend, that to me is like a little win. You know what I mean? Because it's like I didn't see a whole lot of that. Not that I saw absolutely none of it, but very little. It's outweighed by the bad, maybe. And so, yeah, I mean, I know the feeling you're talking about, that almost like, I guess, just human feeling of like overcoming something or changing. I mean, that like the burning the house and the property thing is such a metaphoric, a huge version of what we're talking about. But to have those moments where you feel that with 15 or 20 other people has to be huge. And it's every day. It's every day, which they also, I'm sure they make mistakes and, don't meet your expectations at times. Do you ever struggle with setting expectation too high or pushing your people too hard?
I've learned over the, yes, I did originally to say that, because I when I first, got into, business, I guess, and had people under me, I always expected of them of what me. Right. Okay. And that's just not possible.
And you're willing to push yourself
to the max.
I'm
willing to push myself to whatever.
Beyond the max.
Wherever it takes. Whatever it's necessary is where I'm going.
To wait 28 years. If I got
to fly across the country. And go into another country. And that's what I'll do. And
I was about to say, we'll talk about that a little bit too, yeah.
But, so, I mean, I realize that people are where they are, and I have to meet them where they are. I can't break them. I had to learn, I'll tell you this too, like there's a guy that works for me. I've learned so much from him. His name is Brandon.
He works for you, and you've learned things from him.
Oh, dude, I love having him, man.
Dude, that's something that I feel like a lot of employers would never say.
I don't care.
But you're not really like an employer so much as you're just like a... I mean, a lot of different... What word would you maybe use? Do you have a word that you use instead of like... you are an employee. They work for you.
I mean, I'm the boss.
But you're...
Look, I earned that role, right? Like, I'm the boss.
You are the boss.
But...
You got the license.
But I don't have the ego.
Right. You're also kind of a cheerleader for that team, too, at the same time.
That's like, what a leader does.
Yeah.
A leader, a leader leads by encouragement and also respect, in my opinion, and but
leadership is something that keeps coming up on this show, man. I had another friend in here recently who is actually a former manager of mine and has been a manager at every position he's held pretty much. He bounces around, but he talked a lot about that word leadership, and it's not something I think I ever really consider or think about just because I don't have employees. I don't, but I think all of us have a little bit of that in life, and that you mentioned, like, so being a leader is also being a cheerleader at times. Yeah.
It can be anything important at any given moment. I mean, and being a leader is full of a lot of responsibility. Leading humbly is a responsibility, because at the end of the day, the decisions I make impact a lot of people and a lot of families.
Yeah.
And, I have to make sure that I keep my mind and my body and my whole space in a good space to dictate and to be able to manage those. But this guy, I'm going to say this, Brandon, he is a completely opposite personality than myself. I'm an extrovert. He is an introvert. Okay. My son is an introvert. Okay. I've learned how to be a better parent because of Brandon. Brandon, the way that I was raised, comes out in me some. And, I'm going to come down on you. like you're gonna, we're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna drill it down.
Right.
And some people,
real face to face.
Yeah,
right.
we're
Yeah, you don't do a lot of sugarcoating.
No,
I do know that about.
I don't sugarcoat it, man.
I mean, I think the last hour and 2 minutes would probably speak to that too. Yeah.
And so I don't sugarcoat it. I'm going to shoot straight. And like Brandon is, I don't have to do that. Like I don't have to do that with my kid. I learned that through Brandon, how to be a better dad. In my personal life.
And you're not sugarcoating it. You just don't need to take that direct approach with somebody who doesn't respond to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Brandon, me and him, he'll tell you, like he's been with me years. Left me once, went to another job, came back 2 months later.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. And, I got a lot of respect for him, but he has taught me a lot as a person. And, I'm a better father because of him.
Yeah.
And I tell him that all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm a better dad because of you.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Like the ability for you to sit here and say, not only like that someone who is on your payroll has influenced you in that way, but to extend it and go, not only has he shown me things about me, he's made me a better dad, or he's made me better. And I'm sure we could probably go down the list of everybody in your life and what you've learned from them. And some of it is what you've learned not to do. Like that's another thing I say about my upbringing a lot is like, I think part of the reason I turned out as good as I did is because thankfully I realized that most of what I was seeing was what not to do. You know what I mean? Some people don't get that. They see it and they repeat it. And I mentioned too, like the abuse thing is one thing that as a kid it's very confusing and you don't understand all the nuance of it and you're not there. And so that's easy to look at that and go, well, I'll just follow that same path. But something happened and I knew not to do, you just kind of know. And part of it, I think, honestly, just feels like common sense. But there's also maybe a disconnect between like, I remember being confused by that specific event because it was like my brain couldn't comprehend how loving someone would make you hurt them. You know what I mean? That just didn't make any fucking sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It's just not the truth.
Well, it's also, there's also substances involved, and who knows? I'm sure that the person who said it to me probably doesn't even remember.
And they're probably making an excuse for the behavior too.
Of course.
That's not. They're probably embarrassed internally.
I'm sure.
I would suggest, and I would not suggest. I would expect that some people deep down know they're full of shit. But they're so far in. But they're so far in.
Yeah.
They can't turn around.
They're trapped. Well,
they think they can.
Right. Well, see here, even right now, Michael, here's the funny thing is like, I'm 8 episodes in and I've not tried to restrict what I talk about on here. It's my show. I put in the time, I put in the work. I'll say whatever I want. I'll be honest. But even right now, I'm trying to protect him. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. Not crazy, but isn't that Marvel? Maybe like for some reason, I still feel the need to protect that image. And part of it is I know that ears listening to this may know who I'm talking about, or he may even listen to this. And I don't want to hurt him. But that's what he fucking did and said.
And that's the truth. And
that's the truth.
And that's the truth. And the thing of it is, though, is that's not so much about him. That's just the kind of character you're trying to represent. Yeah. In yourself. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong. The way
that battle is hard.
And I get it. I mean, there's a certain level of respect I have for certain people, and I don't mention things in detail. And
part of it's respect.
Yeah. And I think that's not necessarily for him. It's just the character that you're carrying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know, yeah.
Yeah, so like me, there's certain things I won't say. There's no need to slander somebody that we already know who they are.
Right.
You get
but
what I'm saying?
not slandering.
No, I know. I know that, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I don't have to say it because who I am.
But even though I know that I'm not slandering and I'm not making shit up, there's still a part of me that wants to fucking protect that image. And I think there's a thought we could go into that forever. But the real interesting thing about it is that I've always done that. And even like when in a room with him, I can't be honest. I can't. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, before you lost your dad, you're 15 years old. Did you ever have like a blunt face-to-face moment with him, or did that kind of ended before you got a chance to face that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never had a chance to, I mean, he was so volatile. He was very violent, and I was scared, to have too much confrontation with him because, I mean, he was temperamental, and I mean, it's just, I mean, I've seen him do things that are ungodly, actually, and, so no, I never did.
Now, I don't want to sound insensitive when I say this. Is that almost easier in a way that you never had to face that confrontation, that you never, you know what I mean? Or is it more that you always think about what if and how would I have and what, because there's kind of not closure there, right?
Well, I think the closure come from me. I mean, once I come to terms with me in certain ways, I don't even need the answers.
Yeah.
I don't even need to know why.
God damn, that's powerful too. And I think that's a point that I get to with certain things. With certain things I do. You know, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, I don't need him to apologize for that. I don't need him to even own it or admit that it happened. Yeah. I can give myself that. But then there's still a part of me that goes back to wanting to protect the image or protect the memory maybe too. Because it's like, also, part of me is always worried that I'm going to like kind of negate all of the good memories, because there is a lot of good stuff from my childhood, a lot of it.
If you take an inventory of your life, and this is what I say, and this is what it took me to do, like I had to take, because there's been times in my life where I'm like, okay, I had a horrific childhood and blah, 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 and all this shit happened, and you know what, it did. But then there's also this other paragraph. Yeah. It's like, man, I got to go fishing. I camped. I went in caves. Like my dad we had mud fights. Like we shot bottle rockets. Like, again, it was it was the person that like there was some good in there.
Yeah.
And some bad.
He's human.
A human.
Yeah.
Doesn't forgive it.
Yeah.
Don't forget it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not holding it. I've moved past the point of resentment, and it no longer affects me.
That's so hard to get to.
Yeah, and it takes time. I mean, you got to think. I'm now 44. I'll be 45. And
I think I on most things on there, there's like still a few. Yeah, well, there's still a few Alamos holding out. I mean, that's like cool, I can't quite get there, but on most things I do. And again, I don't want to single out one person, because really, when I'm thinking through a lot of this, I'm picturing different people in my head. But I mean, for you, a lot of that, like. You mentioned you kind of work through that. You give yourself that closure. You do all this. You do all this. Is there ever a part of you that is almost, I guess, just thankful that that's in there? Like whatever that, self-motivation or self-assurance, whatever you want to call that little factor in your head that kept telling you, don't take no for an answer. Don't be a victim. Keep moving on. I feel like not everybody has that. And I don't know if it's as simple as, well, they do. They just don't choose it. I don't know, man. I don't know if everybody has that in there. What do you think about that?
I think that everybody is very different, and I've had to ask myself that question, because I look at situations and I'm like, why don't they just, but I remember when I was like that. And I don't have the answer, but I think everyone has a purpose. Yeah. And I think the goal in life is to find your purpose. Yeah. And when you find your purpose, and I don't know what that is. You have to find that yourself, right. But once I figured out kind of what gave me fire, like you like to do this. I mean, if you go after 100%, who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
If you're painted into a corner, lost your job today, and you had one avenue to make money, and this was it, what would you do? Would you starve, or would you figure it out?
I think I'd figure it out, but you don't know how. You don't know. There's all these. Your head starts swirling. You start panicking. All these things, but you would.
You will.
You would. If you're faced with it.
If you're faced with it, you will. Yeah. And for me,
and I've been there in the past. We've all had moments where it's like I'm facing the flames.
And for me, I didn't have an option.
Yeah.
In a few situations, I did not have a choice. I didn't have an out. The only out was me.
Right.
And I'm either gonna wallow in it. I mean, I had two choices. I'm either going to wallow in self-pity, be homeless, hungry, whatever, or I'm gonna get it and go.
Yeah,
and I decided that I was going to go.
Yeah,
and then when I caught a little traction, I caught a little win. Not that I didn't get discouraged. Not that I didn't have stuff happen. Not that I didn't have setbacks. I remember one time I was working for this other contractor. He ripped me off like $. I basically went belly up, didn't have all the money, I borrowed money from my kid's mom, she gave me $1,000. I had to buy a $500 weed eater to keep going. And I mean, I was working doing foreclosures and setbacks, man. And I could have took that and been like, you know what? And I remember, I've got good people, and she was one of them, right? And she was like, oh, you'll make it through this, you can do that. And I mean, I had some encouragement, and friends and family.
But you need yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the encouragement in the world, but if you don't believe
if you don't take it and go with it, you got to have yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That low moment is so interesting to me too. I mean, I guess that's almost like another through line of this show is I always seem to get to that with people. when having like an intimate conversation like this is like, everybody has those moments, and I'll have 1,000 more in my lifetime. But the one that came to mind for me when you said that is in college. I'm still living at home, and I don't have a ton of bills. I don't have a ton of expenses, but I just wasn't making any money. I'm in school full time, and there was times with my schedule, man, where I was an animation major in college, and very, very demanding major. Like the time investment is just more than any human could possibly do to it to really excel there. And there was times where I would work the Starbucks 5 to 10 a.m. shift. I would change at work. I would drive to campus. I would be in class until about 7 p.m. And then it's work time. It's office hours to get these projects, to get these short films, to get these animations done. And I would fall asleep at the desk. There's a couple nights I slept in the parking garage in my car, and then I'd get up and go back in and go to the next class the next day, or drive back to Bristol for work. Those low moments. And there's even a period right there too where I think maybe during COVID, I don't have a job. I can't get a job, and I'm door dashing. And I remember DoorDash has this thing called like a DoorDash debit card or something, where if you get one of these, they'll pay you immediately after you drop off an order. You don't have to wait for it to go through the system, all this shit. They put it right on this card as soon as you get it, which is great. And it was especially great because I would deliver an order, and with that, let's say $8 I made, I would stop and put $8 in gas in my cart to get the next order. And after like 3 days of that, of like breaking even, you go, we got to figure out a way out of this. You know what I mean? That's one of those same moments where like something in life kicks in your brain and goes, this ain't working, dog. This ain't it.
Yeah, this ain't it.
How do we get out of here? And the answer is not immediate. There's no like snap and fix it. You know what I mean? But like I knew pretty quick that I did not want to be in that position for any longer than I had to be. And that again, that story kind of paints as if I had no help or nobody was offering me. I'll just be honest with you. I inherited the same pride we were talking about earlier, where it's like, I'm not going to take a handout. I'm not going to take help. Even at that time, I had people probably offering to help me, and I wouldn't for whatever reason. But that low moment is interesting. I think that's interesting because everybody has them,
and sometimes multiple.
Oh, yeah, a lot. I mean, we could do another 10 hours on my low points. And and I'm sure you
character building.
Yeah, very, very.
Character building.
I think about that a lot.
It's decision time.
Yeah.
You get to that point. Everybody gets to multiple crossroads in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's decision time. Like, what are you going to do next?
Right.
So what'd you do? Figured it out?
I figured it out. And, it wasn't immediate. That's the thing. Is like everybody wants to just snap and get out of this shitty situation. I realized it. Isn't that half the battle? Like, yeah, sure.
That's a start.
That's a start. Right. But then there's steps to getting out of there. And, for me, it was finishing up that degree, getting some actual skill set under my belt where I can now have a job like I do now, where I make enough to afford this neon or whatever, like this expensive ass neon. Things like that, where it's like, at that time, if you would have told me that I would drop the amount of money on a neon sign that I did for this, I'd go, you're out of your mind. I can't even, I can't even stop at McDonald's. I'm door dashing, going in and out of all these places I can't even afford to eat at, right? You know what I mean? Like that's where I was then. And I'm not saying I'm like some hotshot now who's got it all together. Clearly I don't. But those low moments are so interesting. And I mean, the fact that you're willing to speak on those so publicly and transparently has to be beneficial to other people too. Like anybody who listens to this, I would almost challenge anybody to listen to this episode and not get something out of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, and that's one of the things that those are the parts that give people hope.
Yeah.
You know,
encouragement,
what I mean? Encouragement.
And hope.
I mean, because I get, from my life now, I get a lot of different scrutiny and a lot of conversation. It's like, oh, he's inherited this or he's done that and blah, blah, blah. He's got it made and blah, 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 and all this bunch of shit. And I'm like,
But they don't know.
They don't have a freaking clue.
No idea.
And a lot of them I just don't feel the need to tell. I don't have anything to prove. Like,
right.
The only thing I care about is the people in my hula hoop.
Yeah. Well, you can. People can get really caught up in that too, of trying to go to every person who's ever said anything bad about you and correct them and berate them on here, educate them on why you are.
List like this.
Yeah.
And I love it now. It's like I love it. I get so many conversations, and they're like, "Well, he inherited this, or he's part of the mob." And I've heard it. I mean, I've heard I'm part of the mob. I've heard I've inherited it from my family. Like I've heard that right. I'm a drug dealer. I've heard that right. that all this different stuff. And like I've heard so much, and all I am is a hard worker that don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
But all those voices, well, one, they don't fucking matter at all. But two, they don't know that, you know what I mean? Like, even now, I think about some of the people in my life that maybe are naysayers behind my back, and that shit also, to anybody who is that person, that shit gets to you. Like, nothing you say about a person doesn't eventually get to them. They hear it. They you know what I mean? But I know that those people have no idea what, like, an example I use on this show all the time is my Don't Tell shows that I produce. You know, so I produce these comedy shows. And from the outside, you go, oh, he's just lucky he got in with, you know, one of the most reputable brands in the country.
Your efforts.
100%, because it's easier for them to realize they can just come to terms with the fact that they're not doing shit. To be like, well, it's only because of who he knows. He got this and now. But what they don't see is me unloading and unfolding every chair, plugging in every speaker, every email, every DM that I'm booking, and people drop and venues back out and paying this money.
Working at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, messaging people or whatever it takes to get it done.
They have no idea. They see the 2 nights a week that I post on Instagram and it looks great.
I work between 12 and 2 a.m. with people in Asia.
Yeah.
You know, nobody sees that.
Nobody sees it.
No, I'm working. Look, I'll be at work at 12 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Till probably 1:30.
Tell me real quick, too, because we got a few minutes left before I just lose one of the cameras at 90. But I do want to ask you about Vietnam. We can talk about it, right? Is that yeah. I ironically have always been obsessed with it because I'm a big Anthony Bourdain guy. As a kid, I watched too much of that. I would get off the bus and watch his stuff. Yeah. And that was his number one country. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the culture and stuff. But talk to me about that. So you have now all these business connections in Vietnam and you've been over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're going again soon, right?
Yeah, I'll go again in November, but I'll fly into probably China. I'll go into China first. I'll spend about 7 days, and then I'll go back into Vietnam and possibly Thailand. But yeah.
What kind, I can't imagine the culture shock of stepping off that plane for the first time.
It's very interesting, but the people are amazing. Vietnam, the Chinese and the Vietnamese, they're all different cultures, and they're definitely different. Okay, yeah. So the Vietnamese, I've had great experience with them. One thing I like about dealing with them is, there's a place for everything, and it's people, they do a great job. They're very detail oriented. Yeah. The craftsmanship of a lot of their products are just superb. They care.
They pride.
And when they tell you something, they follow through. If I email one right now or communicate, their response is extraordinary. And it is like on time, yes, and I like they are eager to do business. And I think one of the things that we lack here is that.
Integrity?
Well, it's not so much that. I'll tell you what's happened is, and I'm not going to get political, but I will say this, is like over the years, we farmed out a lot of work. Okay, we did it in a negative way. Okay, so we farmed it out. We shipped it to other countries. Yeah. And over this past 20 years, the skill set has dropped. Yeah. Okay, the skills, and that's the reason people they just don't want to work. They've not developed the skills because the manufacturing jobs left. Right. Okay, a lot of the stuff has left and went to other countries. Right. So we've lost that skill, and it takes time to get that back in America. Yeah. And we need it here. Like we need it. Detroit. I'm looking for electricians, plumbers, HVAC guys. I'm sending guys to school for that. But dealing with those cultures of people, they're just amazing. They're just they're very good and very very kind, and I just enjoy dealing with them. Yeah.
Well, that craftsmanship too, and like that pride for their work that you're mentioning. The only, I guess, kind of frame of reference I would have, or like my angle on that country is mostly their cuisine, but just like their culture and stuff. And it's the same thing there, where it's like they can.
I love the food, man.
Oh, the food's
amazing. Look, I can go all day over the food.
Dude, let's talk about that for the last. Let's do that all. It's maybe my favorite cuisine. In fact, we went recently to a Vietnamese place and got some pho, and it was so good. But that you think you kind of see it in their food too, right? Of like they take these raw ingredients, sometimes scraps that nobody would want, and with pride and purpose, they create these.
Amazing looking dishes. It looks amazing. It tastes amazing. Yeah. And everything that they have there is from there. Right. There is nothing that I eat from there. Like North Vietnam, it's Hanoi. It's a little cooler. That's where a lot of the vegetables come from. Yeah. Wetter climate. Right. And all their stuff is locally grown, produced.
Yeah.
You know, their food is amazing. I love it. Like my daughter, man, is hooked on pho.
Really?
Like, oh man, we eat it once a week.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to get her mom to let me take her to Vietnam. Not this time, but you know, I want her to be just a little bit older. But you know, it's a safe culture. It's safe.
Yeah, 10's a little young, maybe just for travel.
Yeah, it is, but it's very safe there. You know,
Yeah.
going into South Korea, going through Korea is a little, you know, it could be weird, but whatever.
Right. Well, that's more just like depending on the time and geopolitics and stuff. Yeah. But Vietnam too, and I've heard other people say this before. It's one of the places where they don't really hold like a grudge against Americans. You know what I mean? Like because the whole involvement in the Vietnam conflict and stuff. It's not a part of it.
It absolutely. Ho Chi Minh City. That's you know, is the basis of it. You know, and that's where all everything was at.
Right.
Okay. They're very Americanized there. The culture is very. It's kind of, you know. To be honest with you, when you go and you explore and look at these other countries and see the opportunities that they have, and I mean, really, I've seen the sadness. I can show you texts and information from these guys. I've developed friendships with them, and you know, they have no way out. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay. They have nothing. Right. They can't get a better job. They can't. They are dying to get a job.
Right.
You know.
And is that mostly like socioeconomic? Is it cultural? Is there a class system?
There's a class system in northern Vietnam, and it's a class system. If your family isn't in the city, you're not working in the city. Okay. And a lot of the women, they can have bachelor's, master's, doctorates, and if they're not working in Ho Chi Minh City, they can't get a job. Okay. So let me give you another thing, and I'll shut up.
No, go ahead.
Sweatshops. That is an honor in that culture to work in a sweatshop.
To have a job.
To have a job.
Yeah.
Because the economy there doesn't support the wages that a sweatshop does.
Right.
And when you really look at global economics and the way things work, and you get your own eyes on it and you see how this goes.
Yeah, you know, I mean, your boots on the ground.
I'm like living with them, seeing them, talking to them like friends.
For weeks at a time.
I mean, talk to them every day. I mean, I talk to them every day.
Yeah.
You know, I have conversation with my friend James, you know, and it's his name.
Yeah.
Vietnamese James.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's a great dude. And, I mean, he showed me pictures and like, videos, and we talk about his mom and his family and where he lives and, like, what he deals with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And, like, you know.
Is that, I mean, it's got to be eye-opening for you as well.
It's humbling. You know, it's very humbling.
Because we can sit here all day and talk about the rough childhood we have, but that guy,
I mean, that's
a whole other level.
It's a whole nother, yes. And the way that they are, you know, the thing about us in the U.S. is we're very individualized. We're all for us, me.
Yeah.
They are very family, culturally centered.
Yeah.
You know, they're a group. Like once a year, they all go back to their hometown. They spend a week with their family. You know, that's their New Year. They all travel back to wherever they come from in their own hometown. They spend a week with each other every year. The whole place shuts down.
That's beautiful.
And it is awesome, you know, to be able to see that. Yeah. You know, it was a great experience, you know.
Like cultural values.
Cultural values and you know, just a lot of the stuff I learned from them and the craftsmanship, you know, it's just a cool place.
Right. And you're getting a lot of material from them now and doing a lot of business dealings.
I do a lot of stuff from there and a few other places, you know, and you know,
what a cool experience. I mean, how did that come about? Like at what point do you told me this before. I think you were already using some of their products, is that right?
I'm an economics guy. And you know, if you really dig into economics and understand global economics and the way that money moves, you begin to understand that a lot of the stuff comes from the same place. Okay, so all these different water bottles that we're buying, all the different brand names, they come from one place.
Sure.
Okay, all the different, you know, items, they all come from one place.
Yeah.
And, you know, where I build on a bigger scale, you know, I started understanding the economics of, like, you know, I ended up shopping a place in California that had the same product as North Carolina. And I was like, huh. And then I put two and two together and I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right.
You know, so I just tracked down the source.
Where are they getting it from?
Where are they getting it from?
Yeah.
And I was like, made the connection.
Vietnam.
Hopped on a plane, communicated with them before, set up.
Was that scary for you, hopping on a plane and going I mean, you never traveled out of the country before that, had you?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. I go.
Oh,
yeah. I've been out quite a bit. But I've been to Mexico a few times, Costa Rica. I mean, I've been I've been a few places.
Oh, that's right. But that's more for leisure stuff, right? Like
it is, but I mean, it's all the same to me. I mean,
you
know, I go to like Costa Rica, I'll go and explore. And I mean, I don't mind to, I'm a people person and I like to meet people.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I had, I'd done my research.
Yeah.
And looked and talked, and I had met James, and I track people down, like
sure.
And I follow the money.
And you showed up on that guy's door.
Showed up in Las Vegas. I met, I'm going wherever.
Yeah.
And so I ended up over there. Ended up finding out so much stuff.
I bet.
I mean, it would blow your mind. I mean,
yeah.
Like the products.
Yeah.
That you see in these different places. You would be amazed at some of the stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I visited factories all over Vietnam. And
you found they were very welcoming to you too. I mean, the fact that you got access to that.
I mean, they picked me up in a Benz and rode me around and took care of me.
They're wooing you.
Yeah, they're wooing me.
Yeah.
They're wooing
me. Right.
I had a driver and they take great care of you. You know, and they know how to do business.
I was going to say that's almost another cultural thing too of like business is up here.
Fed me great too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I bet. Yeah, God, I'm so jealous. I'm actually, as soon as we wrap this, I'm leaving. Well, tomorrow morning we're leaving for New Orleans, and that's another place to me. I mean, maybe not a lot of parallel with Vietnam necessarily, but that is the one place in this country that I think just oozes culture.
It does.
You ever been to New Orleans? Yeah. It's like, I mean, you can't go down a street without seeing something that you really don't see anywhere else. It's like, and we've done all the
popular
touristy shit too.
You got to go to the popular
we done
place.
Cafe du Monde. That's stop number one. We got it. I got a whole routine. I've been 5 times now, so I got a whole routine. But we did, we've done the airboat tours, we've done the cemetery tour, all that shit, and that stuff's interesting to me. But what's more interesting to me is just to walk around there and go, to see it, to smell it.
The history of it, it's unique.
The history is it's a melting pot of cultures. It was Spanish and it was French and it's American. That it's all these. There's native influence. It's so interesting. And I mean, I think the Vietnam thing just kind of reminded me of that because it's like, well, one, it's coming up for me very soon in life, but it's culture is so interesting to me. I think you're similar there too. What you're saying about the food.
I like to meet and see different people, and really your mind when you get out of your hula hoop, like And I say this is, it's easy to be a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm talking about I'm talking about in many different ways, like you're thinking, right? So you can think you're like top thinker here.
Yeah.
But when you get into another country, or you get into another group, or you expand your mind, you're like, oh man, I love learning. And talking
and feeling small again.
Yeah, and economics too, and I love economics, and I like global economics. And
that's where we split right there. That's you're on your own on that, big dog.
Economics is driven by emotion, and a lot of things are if you think you're doing good, you're doing good.
Yeah,
and that's what impacts us. And there is some realistic data behind it.
Sure,
but
that's interesting.
Economics is driven by feelings.
Yeah.
And by money, but
right.
If you feel like we're doing good, we were doing good.
Yeah, what's crazy too? I was thinking about a lot of stuff I try to frame in this lens of like stand up because that's just it's easy for me to internalize when you're saying stuff. And you mentioned like going to other places and feeling small and getting that perspective and stuff. And one super interesting thing about stand up is like I run the Don't Tells here, and so it's a very respected show, and I put so much work into it for it to maintain that. But there is a certain level of kind of like, we're on our 34th show this weekend or whatever the hell. So it's like a lot of the achievement and the feelings that would come from that, it's tough for me to find anymore. We're always up in the game and we have like special drop-ins or exciting shows. There's always goalposts. But it's tough for me sometimes to get that to feel small, especially in this scene where there's not a lot of other production going on and there's not a lot of people hustling and doing stuff. But then the second I book a show in Nashville and I go down there and I walk into Zany's is the club there and I see all these other comics doing shit that I can only dream of doing, that perspective settles right back in. It's the same thing. It's like big fish goes to a much bigger pond, and suddenly you realize, oh yeah, I'm not really doing enough. I'm not shit. I can be doing more, and there are people doing more. And I'm sure, when they go and they see a crazy, top 10 headliner in the country, they feel the same way. I know they do. There's like a system to it. But the more exciting thing to me about that is that you feel that, but that you've managed to turn around and extend that hand backwards to the people who are behind on that little Easter egg. You know what I mean? Or the Russian doll thing. It's like the big one, smaller. That you kind of turn around and help people level up behind you. That's such a important lesson, I think, for people.
And I say this. I mean, for me, winning alone sucks. I mean, I've been at the top of the podium.
That's like sitting there with your jet ski and all your money, and you're like, I'm empty.
Yeah. I mean, winning by yourself to me is like, it sucks.
Right.
I want to see winners. And, and it takes a group of winners to continue winning to create a legacy.
Right.
And that's kind of my thought is, I hate winning by myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I want to see other people. Like, I want a group of us.
Right.
Like, I want the whole car, the whole, like
the whole team.
Let's go. All of us.
Yeah.
And, that's why I do that, really.
Surrounding yourself with that, too, only, like, amplifies you.
Pushes me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going up my game. I got competitors, right? And a lot of them I get along with, and they know me very well. And, I consider.
I bet they do.
Well, they're like, they know me good. And I like to have healthy competition.
Yeah.
I believe in competition.
Sure.
I think competition makes us strive to be better.
Yeah.
It makes us up our game.
Yeah.
And they all know me. And I'll go up against them and be like, here I come.
Yeah. Right.
And
but
that
we're pushes them to.
Yeah, they want to up their game. And there's one specifically in the area. Me and him are more competitors, and like he's a good dude, and we talk, and I call him right now, and we can chat. And at the end of the day, that's my competitor.
Right.
And it's really what we do is it's about the successful nature of the company. We are competitors with integrity.
Yeah.
We're not backbiting. I'm not talking smack about this company.
Right.
I'm like, no, it's a good company.
Well, it's kind of reflecting what you're seeing in Vietnam too, and like those cultural things that you value.
Yeah.
You're trying to like impart them in your own business. Yeah. Yeah. That's special too, man.
Yep.
All right. I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, cool.
This is your first one. You did it. You did it.
Good.
You did a podcast. You'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll do it again. When you come back from Vietnam, you can tell me all about it. You can
cool.
show me some pictures and make me so angry at the food that you got that I didn't.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. Is there anything you want to promote at all? I mean, anything, in case somebody's listening, they can follow your business page, anything like that?
No, man, not really. Just,
good.
Just stick with the winners. That's all I say.
Easy enough. All right.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks.
All right,
Bye.
thanks.